Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast, which right now is being co-hosted by Oliver, our ginger kitty. He's not very interested in his co-host duties, but he does taking his purring duties seriously. I think he's gonna flop next to me. Tail. Are you gonna flop? Hi, hello and welcome to any new viewers. Thank you for giving me a chance, seeing if I'm what are you doing, Oliver? Seeing if I might be someone you want to hang out with for a little while. And hello and welcome back to returning viewers. Thank you for making this all worthwhile, hanging out and being friends. Got some tea, got some knitting, have a cat. I have been recording a little bit of autumnal vloggy footage. It's not very autumnal yet. I mean, you can see the leaves on the pergola are turning a bit yellow out there. That's about as far as it's gone. We have had a couple of very windy days. So it's just as well the leaves haven't started changing color yet, or they would have absolutely been stripped from the trees and we'd go straight to winter hibernation. That's the word. I was thinking of something like dormant, somewhere between dormant and hibernation. Couldn't come up with either word. Winter dormancy. I am drinking Bird and Blend chocolate violet cream. I did a whole little video about making it. There are times we have the tea club and we have so much tea, and basically most of the time you look at the box where all the little tea bags are and think, oh my goodness, we have so much, are we ever going to drink it? And then we have a week like this one where I realize like a lot of them had 1 cup left. So I finished off an apple bonfire toffee. I'm terrible with the names. I'm absolutely the worst with names. I know some people really excited about all the different yarn names, and I'm like, it's the blue one. I'm the same way with tea. They all have very exciting teas, and my version of the name is, it's the one with the smoky apple and the toffee. This is the one with the chocolate and the violet. I did not think I would like it when we got it in the tea club. I thought it would be weird. I don't think we have violet candies, violet parmas, which I don't think we have them in the US. I'm from the US originally. I currently live in northern Scotland with my English husband, our 2 cats, no, 3 cats now, I have to get used to saying that. Our 2 cats and a bonus cat and 2 children. And except for the cats, that's order of acquisition because one of the cats is new. This is throwing off. Am I gonna have to do it? I don't know how old the cat is. I can't. Sometimes I do it descending order of age. Sometimes I do it descending order of height. Descending order of height might be the only one that still works. I'm probably confusing the heck out of anyone who is new. We have 2 cats, 2 kids, and then another cat who is not our cat, but has decided he wants to live with us. Excuse me. And I did this week, I again put in a concerted effort. I do this, like once a month. I did it in August, I did it in September, and I've done it in October as well, where I call around to the cat protection people, the SSPCA, the Scottish Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and local vets, and I say, I have a chip number for a stray cat in our garden that needs some kind of acknowledgement to its owners, and every single one of them says, call the other one. None of them want to help us find Milo's original owners and let them know that he is our cat now. I mean, I don't tell them that we're going to let them know that he is our cat now, but considering he lives here. And this is not the first time. We had him last year, and then he was reunited with his owners, and then he came back. And now this year we can't get anyone to help us contact his owners. So yes, 3 cats. That was a bit of a digression already. In blah 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 blah. Today is the 7th of October. And I don't have as much to show you as I have recently. I do have one finished object, but my 9-year-old kitten is wearing it. So I do have pictures, but before we get to that, what am I wearing? I am wearing all the knitwear. It is cold, and here in Scotland you can't really turn the heat on. And I'm also trying to lure Milo, the outdoor cat, into the house so that he will be safe and warm this winter. So I often turn off the heat in the house and then open the open the front door and then sit huddled under a bunch of blankets. I can hear a door out there. And I think it's the neighbors. It looks like it's the neighbors because I don't see. My husband works in a detached office in the in the garden. A detached office in the garden, and so I can often hear him when he's going to come in through the conservatory, which is where I'm sat now. I swear sometimes I can do this in a coherent and cohesive manner. Today's just not that day, although I don't think any of the videos lately have been that video. I hope you like this sort of thing, because otherwise you have probably already turned it off. Anyway, I don't have the heat on. I have all the stuff. Did I ever finish talking about the tea? I didn't think I would like it. We don't have Parma violets in the US, which is where I'm from. And then I did a whole thing about who I am. And they're kind of like, what are they called? Smarties, which is not UK Smarties. UK Smarties are M&Ms. US Smarties are little pressed sugar. I've hurt my hand. Little pressed powder, sugar, flavored things that are rolled up in a tube, like Parma violets. They come in lots of different flavors. I know there's a candy like that here, but they're not tangy. They're like really small love hearts, but completely different. That should clear that up, right? And by completely different, I mean pressed powdered sugar, sweeties. Anyway, I wasn't sure I would like the Parma violet tea. The first couple of sips, I was like, what is going on here? And then the rest of the tea, I drank really quickly and went and made another cup. I tend to do at least 2 brews with the loose leaf tea. It depends. Some flavors, like if it's a tea with cinnamon in, then the first one tends to get all the cinnamon, which often makes it too much cinnamon for me. And then the second steeping is better because it has less cinnamon. And there are other ones where, like, by the second steeping, you're not getting enough of the flavors. So it depends, but I often do 2 and I really like it. This one has a bit of stuff in it just because it was the bottom of the tea bag. It's all the little broken bits that blah, 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 slid through the strainer. Can I talk today? No, I cannot. And that gets us back to wearing all the knitwear. I found a lot of my jumpers, my pullovers, and my cardigans don't come high enough up my neck, and my t-shirts don't either. So I have been wearing cowls. This is a good one. Big, heavy. It's not big or heavy, but it's a very full cowl. It's a little narrower at the top and a little wider at the bottom, but it still gives a fair bit of drape. This is a Hunter Hammersen pattern from the 3rd year of techniques by the Arno Colorford team, which was, I don't remember. One of them is Boost Your Knitting. Is that the 3rd one? The 3rd book in the series. This is one of the patterns. It is by Hunter Hammersen. Hunter Hammersen has pulled all of her patterns and then re-released her favorite top 6, and then her best-selling, the one she wants to continue to do pattern support for, and rebranded as, I don't remember. I'll put it down below. She's also done a Patreon, and there are different levels, one of which gets you all of her remaining print books, and she has said that that is intended to be a one-off charge and then switch to one of the other tiers. And then there's a level where you get all of the patterns, and then there's a level where you get, you get her notes so she can play around with different designs, and like, here's the design and here are thoughts on variations and other things you could do and that sort of stuff. And then there's another level where you just support her in doing all this stuff. And I signed up for the middle tier. That is neither here nor there, but it does mean that it doesn't matter that I don't remember the name of this pattern, because while I think Hunter did release it individually, it is no longer available. And the yarn is, oh my goodness, can I come up with it? I can picture the website. Nope, not gonna be able to come up with it. I believe this was a one-off color for the club. Something Love or True Love. I'm gonna have all this down below. Let's move along, shall we? This is a hat by Willie Wormhead. Do I remember the name of the pattern? No, I do not. It is knit with leftover yarn from another pattern that was in the third Arna Colorford A Year of Techniques book. Confident Knitter, Boost Your Knitting. I think the third one was Boost Your Knitting. It is a lovely reversible cable triangle. It has one cable down one side, the rest is in garter stitch, triangle shawl in this fyberspates scrumptious DK, and I think this is the color Spiced Plum. It's really nice. I knit it last year this time. I wasn't sure I liked it because I ran out of yarn and I had to do a lot more decreases, so it's not as full as, I mean, the pattern had it, I mean, it wasn't quite a mushroom top, but it was a good size hat. And I have never woven in the ends because I wasn't sure I was going to keep it, but I did, and it tends to be the hat I grab for wearing around inside the house. And then I have on, this one doesn't have a pattern designer, so I don't have to forget what all's going on with it. This is a custom pattern from Custom Fits, which is a website formerly run by and developed by Amy Herzog. She decided to go back to being a computer programmer and sold the website on to someone else. I just noticed there's something stuck on the window over there. It's currently being maintained by someone else, and it is a website where you create an account, which is free, and then you can put in information from your own yarn that you want to use, your own swatch, and then you can either pick ready designed patterns or design your own. So like this is just a basic set in shoulder cardigan, and you can specify like how wide you want the ribbing to be on the button band, how much, if at all, you want it to overlap, the width here, the width on the cuffs, the width on the hem. In this one, I just did my own maths to figure out the placement of the stripes. But then you can get, you know, like how high do you want the neckline? How high do you want the sleeves? How high, if any? It doesn't tend to do shaping, like short row shaping for the bust or the back of the neckline or the hips, simply because rather than add length, they had the appropriate amount of width to go, because short rows would add length. It's all in the website, but this is just a very basic cardigan that I did in one of the Blacker Yarns birthday yarns, and this was the paint palette themed one, and they are all lovely and they've been holding up really well. I think I have pilled this once. I know I did this the last time to show how it was wearing, but it's holding up really well. It is still soft and smushy. I did put it on a few weeks ago on a day when it was cold but also humid, and then it felt prickly against my skin. I knit this years ago, and that is the first time it has ever felt prickly on my skin. It has just started raining, so I apologize if it gets loud. I will try to pause again like I did last time. So yeah, this is what I am wearing. And then I've also got like socks on and stuff, and a warm cat next to me. And if it really gets cold, I have a hat that I can drape across my lap. There is a heater out here, but it's very noisy, so I can't run it while I'm talking. And also I left the door open so that I could be joined by an appropriate number of cats, which today appears to be 1. I don't know if you noticed, my hand is in a brace. I have tendonitis in both wrists. This one tends to be the worst wrist, and yesterday it started so that just every time like I tried to pick something up with this hand, I got a stabbing, pinching, shooting pain in my wrist. I just have the brace on to remind myself not to use it, let it rest, and hopefully it will get better. I have been able to keep knitting on my jumper project. I haven't tried with my sock project, but I do just have to take the brace off so that I can comfortably hold the needle. Yeah, which I guess means I should tell you about my jumper project that I am working on. I'm trying to do this without knocking things onto Oliver, who is currently being a co-host by laying next to me and just being the sweetest kitty. So I have moved this to my pink hazel llama bag. Can't do that, that hurts. It is a very nice bag. Ouch. Pink hazel. Don't know if you can see that. And this is my first ever Ranunculus. Ta-da! This stitch marker is where we were last time. That's my Stay Home and Stay Safe, which I believe is from Jen's Crafty Charms. Last time I looked at her Etsy store, it was on hiatus, so I don't know if she's reopened it yet. It did seem like it was just a temporary hiatus and not that I've closed it because I've opened my own website or anything. I was looking like her Instagram and all sorts of things to make sure. So this is my Ranunculus. I am knitting it in Rowan Kid Classic. And this is the colorway Peat, which is, I don't know if you can see the purplishness. It is 2 plies of a plummy purple in lamb's wool, and then 1 ply of a not terribly fluffy mohair, and then a little bit of nylon. So yeah, this is actually the back. And I was saying last time I had cast on the wider of the necks, but it was too wide. No, too tight. I cast on the narrow one, it was too tight, so I've done the wider one and it is just right. I knit the first sleeve and then I cast it off, and then I tried it on again and it was suddenly too short, whereas before I cast it off it was not too short. So I pulled it out and knit another like 2.5 inches, and it's just got a bit of an I-cord bind off. It looks really chunky, and I think it would look like if you knit it in one of the lace weight versions that it looks more proportionally correct, but I can't really tell. I haven't seen it in person. And I have almost finished the second sleeve. Got my Boo Ghost where I picked up the stitches from the sleeve. And I have just a locking stitch marker on the other side, and then I can match up the stitch markers to measure the sleeve length. And I just need another 2.5 inches on this side and I will be done. And then I will go back to the body and decide how long I want it to be. I can't really hold it with this hand, but I usually hold things on that side. The length as it is now would be like my rib cage. It definitely goes under bust, maybe just like a couple inches below. And I do want a jumper that's a really high crop like that, so that when I wear it over skirts that are closer to my natural waist, because that's closer to where my natural waist is, that they flow out from there. I'm just not convinced this is the one I want it to be. And also, what am I trying to show you? I've got 2 unused balls. So this is the one I'm currently using for my sleeve. I started a new ball when I did the first sleeve, because that way I just knit until I had finished a ball, put the body on a stitch holder, and then I could do the sleeves, and that way I'm not turning around as much in my lap as I keep flipping it around to knit with. So I had a small nugget left from the first sleeve that I used to start the second sleeve. So I've got this, and then I figure I will finish this ball and then see how much of this I want to use. And that gets this into there's something lucky on this one. The realm that I would have left over from this then becomes like a hat amount or a cowl amount, or maybe some kind of hand warmer. It becomes a reasonable amount of yarn to still have in my stash to do something small with, rather than be in that awkward place of it's a little too much for most things but not enough for other things. Do you buy most of another sweater quantity and then do color work with it? Like, you know, it doesn't put it in that realm. So I'm going to keep knitting with this so that the stash I have left over is the right amount of stash. And I can do my really high-waisted crop jumper with something else. I've got a cat next to me, so I have to be careful where I put this. I'll put that there, and then I'll slide this over for our next work in progress. I didn't say the Ranunculus is by Midori, Cafe Midori Knits. Again, information will be down below. You probably have heard of the Ranunculus, but I am an amazing person who manages to not hear of some of the most popular things in knitting, simply because I don't do a lot of Instagram. I am on Instagram, that part's fine. I just don't follow people unless I have a personal emotional connection to them. Like, I want it to be people I care about, not just, it overwhelms me, frankly. I find Instagram as a marketing tool to be overwhelming. This is a little ghost spooky Halloween project bag I made last year. It is based on the wee bra bag, which is a Scottish design, but I can't remember who it is. I'll put that information down below. I did make this one a wee bit taller to match my sock sack needs. Why is this so heavy? It is heavy because it has my house keys in it. Now I'll be able to hold it up better. I took this to Glasgow School of Yarn last year, which is why it has my "This bag belongs to" label on it. I think I got that from Fiberfox like 2019 at Perth Festival of Yarn. So the fact that I keep taking it to Glasgow School of Yarn is an irony that has not escaped me. This is a fully reversible bag. It has 2 pockets. Pocket. I could flip it around. I did. It's just like a bubbles print, little circles, overlapping circles. Some of the ghosts, the ones with the color outline around them, glow in the dark, as does the spider web, the stars, and the skulls. So this is a fun one to leave in the bedroom when you fall asleep. I did also make face masks out of this material and worked very hard to get that placed right in the middle of the front. Obviously, cloth masks are not efficient, not effective with the tiny airborne particles that we are dealing with COVID, but it would still help if you just had a cold and we're trying not to sneeze on people, or as a cover over a less aesthetically pleasing surgical mask. So yeah, there it is. I didn't show you what was in the project. When I found this, that's also when I was reunited with my ghost stitch markers, so I was happy about that. And I think I have Nope, I don't have it with. The ones I'm using are from Woolly Goodness Yarns, but I don't. The other one must be in there. The other one's a ghost with a little witch hat. It's very cute. I am knitting my Halloween socks in here. I had really hoped, excuse me, to be a lot further along than this, since we are now in October and I am still on the first sock. I have started, just there in the purple, doing an increase round, and I was doing lifted increases, and I did them in a different way than I had done them before. So this is also from Woolly Goodness. Very cute little star stitch marker. Oh, there's the other. I found the other ghost stitch marker. I threw it on here to mark the middle of the back where I'm doing the increases. So when I've done a listed increase in the past, you're knitting into the stitch below the one that you're knitting into this round. So you've got the rows you're knitting into, which on one side would still be on the needle and on the other side would be below. But you knit into the one below it, and I just lifted that up to the side and knit through it. And someone else was doing a video where they did a close-up of themselves doing it. Might have been Midori for this, where I was looking at some of the techniques, where they went through the loop, both loops. So I don't know how to describe this, but you know, you've got the loop and then you've got it through the next. I was just pulling up the bottom loop to the side, but they went through both stitches, just down a column, and knit the second stitch there. And I thought, I tried it when I was doing this, and it made a big hole. So I thought I would try it again on the sock yarn, and when I did it, there was a bit of a hole. But now I can't see what I'm doing, but hopefully you can see the increase. Looks pretty good. It looks pretty subtle. There's no holes. I mean, you can see the stitch is a little stretched out, but it looks differently subtle than the other way I have been doing it. So I'm going to chalk that down to, now I know 2 ways to do this technique, and I can do whichever one seems best for the particular project. That's all I have for this. But yeah, I just wanted to say I am learning. I don't know if I was doing it wrong before, but this is certainly a new way of doing it to me. So I thought I would share. And maybe my way of doing it would be a new way for you, and maybe the way I just mentioned. I love the bright colors of this. Look at how pretty those are. I'm very excited. I want to have these to wear to Glasgow School of Yarn if I'm lucky. I don't know if Helen is doing this colorway again, but I thought they'd be fun to have. And I did weigh the ball when I started, and it was like 105 grams. I actually weighed it slightly after I started, and it was 103 grams. But we'll call it ballpark. So when I get to around 100 grams, I will stop. So I've got I guess I should really stop in a rainbow section so I can do the gray, but I could also pull out one of the stripy color sections and then do the toe gray. I would like the other one to start with a gray toe as well, so I will just need to decide. And then if I have any leftovers, I can do it for the heel, which I think I've worked out how to do this correctly, and it may just be a disaster, but I did do a little weird thing that should give me a bit of a gusset. Fingers crossed. I know how to do a gusset going the other way, but doing it this way seems a bit more complicated, if only because no one else has held my hand and explained to me how to do it. I am possibly reverse engineering something that other people have explained many times over. But yeah, then I will do, when I'm all done, I can do the cuffs, no, not the cuffs, the heels, either in the scraps of this yarn, or I'll just get a different gray that won't match as nicely, but will look just fine. Now I'm wondering, I might have something that matches fairly close to the orange. I don't know. I do feel the gray would be the right color to go there. Yeah, my other one is the finished the finished Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. I've just taken my wrist brace off, so I will try to be gentle with myself. And then I just plunked a stitch marker in from the last time I measured how much more I needed to do. So I know, you know, you look at your knitting sometime and you think, did I even make any progress? Stitch markers tell me if I've made progress. The Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague, which I did in Lonely Knitter. Oh, I found the label. Hold on. I ran and got the label, and so I explained last time, Laura, who was doing Bumbling Yarns, has decided to consolidate all the different things she does under the Lonely Knitter, which she also has Crafter's Balm, which is a really nice hand, I was going to say hand cream, but it's not. It's like a solid oil, like lip balm, except don't put it, it's not for your lips, that you can keep in a tube or in a tin in your bag, and then you have it for your knitting projects. I'm just wondering if I have one in this bag. I think I do not. I think I have lip balm in here. Oh, I do. Crafter's Balm. And then she's discontinued these lip balm tubes, but it's just a solid, this is harder to do with only one hand. I tend to rub it all over and then use the warmth of both of my hands to melt it together, and I really like to get it in my cuticles. This is not added or gifted or anything. I paid for all this stuff. I just like it. So anyway, Laura of the Lonely Knitter, who had Bumbling Yarns and now has Lonely Knitter Yarns, did, this is the color Floating, on the 100 gram 4-ply fingering, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams is 425 meters. and it was the color Floating. When she rebranded her yarn, she changed her color range. Now I actually want to put some of this properly like on my cuticles. So she scaled back what colors she does, but if you really loved it, I'm sure you could have it, although it'll be hard to tell because I held it double with fyberspates Cumulus, which is an alpaca silk blend. And I did it with, again, some leftover scraps from, in this case, the first Arnold Culliford A Year of Techniques book. And then I had to buy another skein of the sea glass fluff to put it together. I just have a couple pictures of me wearing it. I don't have a picture of it laid flat or anything, but maybe when Kitten comes home, she'll let me borrow it for a second and take some pictures. It hasn't been washed or blocked or anything. I finished it, woven the last end because it's a tube, so you have to weave in the ends before you do the decreases at the bottom. And I gave it to her, and I basically haven't seen it since, except on her head. So yeah, that's, hopefully I have got the pictures in here, and if I have a flat picture, I will add that one in here as well. You, in the future, already have the answers to this. I, in the past, do not. So yeah, Musselburgh hat, I talked about it a fair bit last time. Someone was concerned I was giving away the pattern. I don't believe I said anything that's not in the pattern listing on Ysolda Teague's website. I do feel it is a pattern that anyone who's knit a top-down hat could reverse engineer from looking at. And the reason you would pay for the pattern, because if you see a designer's pattern and you think, oh wow, that's cool, I want to knit that, then that is their intellectual, like they gave you the idea, and coming up with the idea can be difficult. Like that's, you know, you sit around going, what should I knit next? She had a cool idea, and that is worth money. And also you buy the pattern to get the maths worked out. She's worked out a whole range of sizes, from baby sizes to big head sizes, and a whole range of gauges, both with how big the hat needs to be, how long it needs to be. You buy the pattern for the maths, not for a new and interesting secret construction, because as Ysolda said in the pattern description, the idea for the construction came from a war knitting pamphlet. Both during World War I and World War II, the British government gave out knitting pamphlets to encourage the public to knit items for soldiers. Socks, hats, baklavas, all sorts of things that they would need. So yeah, not an original idea, but she certainly did refine it and worked out all the maths, which is pretty useful and absolutely worth the cost of a pattern to me. So yes, I don't think I said anything that's not in the pattern description or that would prevent someone else from needing to buy the pattern who would have needed to buy the pattern before they heard my description. Yeah. So let's move on to acquisitions, which I realized I should have grabbed when I grabbed the label because I don't have them with. So I just need to beg one more camera cut of your patience. I have returned with my, they're not even ill-gotten gains because they're definitely properly gotten in the appropriate manner. I mentioned last time that I put an order in with Wool Warehouse. For those of you not in the UK, Wool Warehouse is an online craft shop. That is woolwarehouse.co.uk. If you don't live in the UK, now's probably a good time, if ever, to order things from the UK and have them sent to you, because our pound has absolutely tanked and is worth nothing. If there is some UK hand dyer you've been admiring, or something that just would be a lot cheaper to order and have shipped to you, this is the time for it. I laugh because otherwise I would cry. Anyway, I needed one more skein of the Cumulus by Fyberspates in this color, which is the sea glass, to finish the hat. But I didn't want it to be lonely. So I bought more stuff, which included 3 more of the same color because Kitten really likes this color right now. And I do have some DK weight wool, slightly lighter than this, but it wound up being a bit scratchier than my children will wear. It's a superwash, but it just, I don't know. My kids are special snowflakes in as much as they thought it was too rough. I did knit a very cute heart pullover for my youngest for Rainbow, and she almost never wears it. If she does wear it, she needs to have a long sleeve, high neck thing under it to keep it off her skin. So I figured if I paired the seafoamy color with this seafoamy Surrey alpaca, that would take care of the scratchy factor. Again, it's not a rustic yarn, it is a superwash yarn. It's just a bit crunchy. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not buttery smooth. So I figure, I hope if I can hold it together with this, I can knit her something in like an Aran weight gauge, and that will be really nice for her. Then I have this like Gloamin color, dark gray. It is the black, and this is to knit my younger one, Rainbow, a Musselburgh hat, and she wants hers to be rainbow with black. So I figured if I got like a rainbow gradient yarn and paired it with the black fluff, it would fulfill the brief. So fingers crossed that works out. And then with plans to knit a jumper for the bigger one, this was on sale, which is the Rowan Baby Merino Silk DK, 66% wool, 34% silk. And it's looking a little grayish, but it is like a lilac, a soft purpley color, like a marled soft purple, probably because the wool took the color and the silk didn't. Anyway, this was on sale for super cheap. The color is being discontinued, and their school uniforms are purple, which is a really dark purple, but the gingham dresses that the girls can wear when it's warmer are more of a lilac-y color. So I figure I can get away with a lilac jumper. They're not very strict at the school when it comes to uniforms. So I don't think anyone would ever say anything. And then at the same time, I picked up a number of skeins of this Rowan cotton cashmere, also being discontinued. 85% cotton, 15% cashmere, to make myself a summer top, because I'm discovering I really like hand knit summer tops. Although I should go through kind of my wardrobe of things I have made for myself and which ones I still like, which ones I've been reaching for, which ones I have been not, like that ones that I either forgot about or are uncomfortable in some ways. And one of the ones I made myself a green lace yoked t-shirt in a DK weight cotton a couple of years ago. It was during the pandemic. It came out bigger than I was expected, and I have lost a bit of that pandemic weight. I put on a little weight, I lost a little weight, and it is now just like really big on me, and it's really heavy, so it pulls down. So I don't know if I should frog it or give it away or wear it over things. I don't know. I have a number of things that I knit kind of pandemic time where I'm now looking at them like, oh, that's too big. That's kind of uncomfortably big. But make myself a new summer jumper for when it's not quite warm enough to go outside in, you know, a flowy viscose dress I don't tend to like viscose very much, but I do have one flowy viscose dress, you know, and it's not quite warm enough for the sundresses, but I mean, you wouldn't want something like this that time of year. So that's what I got. And there you can see. So yeah, that's what I ordered last time. All of this so that the one skein I needed to finish the Musselburgh hat would not be lonely. But the non-fyberspates cumulus stuff I bought was all discontinued stuff. So it was a lot cheaper than it would normally be. And that catches me up on the knitting stuff. I have not done any sewing, though I did get as far as printing out the pattern for my corduroy dungarees, my dungaree dress that I'm going to make to wear over like leggings and whatever base layer kind of stuff I wear for riding the bicycle. That's really more comfortable for wearing, but then I don't really want to be walking around in lycra or spandex or, you know, really form-fitting stuff. I don't like people staring at my bum is where that one comes from. So if I have just a really easy to throw on dress over that, then in a bright color, I would really like to make it. It should be a fairly straightforward make. It's not a lot of pieces. I got as far as printing out the pattern. I have not gotten as far as cutting out the pieces and taping them together, or tracing that off so that I can cut the traced out bit, and then cut out the fabric. I have washed the fabric. And my kids are on October break the next 2 weeks, so they will be underfoot, which is only an issue in as much as it means it's not as easy to do sewing when everybody's home. But things have been a bit in upheaval here, so I didn't really have a chance either. Kitten is she's having a bit of a rough year right now. This will be easier if I take this off again. I put it back on for when I stood up so that I didn't put weight on it. Sorry about that, just got a wee tickle in my throat. Kitten, my 9-year-old, is having a bit of a rough year. School has been a lot for her lately, and that has had a knock-on effect of everything being a lot for me lately. And for whatever reason, both children have been wanting to sleep with me. So even if I can get one of them to sleep in the bed, the other one, one of them usually manages to be sleeping in my bed. So I haven't been sleeping really well. Now, like, my wrist was hurting yesterday, and today I can't crawl around on my hands and knees and tape things together and trace them out until my wrist is rock solid, because that's usually the kind of thing where, having done it one day, I can't use my hands for the rest of the week. It wouldn't normally hurt as much as my wrist is hurting just right now, but it would hurt enough where I'd be like, ooh, yeah, no, need to not do anything for a bit. And that also goes with like pinning out and cutting the pattern pieces. That's the part for me that is the most difficult with sewing, is things that need to be laid out on the floor to be cut out. And I did sign up. The Wee Fabric shop here in Inverness released their next slew of classes, and there is a pants making underwear for the non-Brits. Tilly and the Buttons came out with a new pants pattern last year this time, and it is a class to make the pants in question. So I need to swing by the shop there and pick up my paper pattern, and they would like us to trace the pattern out in the appropriate size, but not cut out the traced pattern, because they're going to do a fully enclosed gusset, which the pattern doesn't include. That's going to be the modification they teach. And then we all get to make ourselves a pair of pants, and then we'll know how to do it for forever. So that should be fun. And sometimes like just a class like that can get my mojo going. So then I really feel like I'm in the right headspace to do some sewing. And I really feel like if I could just get any project done, that then I would be able to sit down at my sewing machine and do something again. Because it's just been a while and the inertia is not my friend as far as this goes. So yeah, hopefully that will be fun. And yeah, then it's Glasgow School of Yarn the week after. My kids have 2 weeks of holiday, and then there's another week back at school, and then it's Glasgow School of Yarn, and I get to go down. I have to get up so early. My train leaves at like 6 a.m. And I don't mean like 5:30. I mean like 5:57 or 6:05 or something like that. I absolutely will need to make sure I know the time correctly, so I can order a taxi the night before to come get me, and I will have my bags all packed and everything so I can kind of just roll out of bed, shove on some comfortable clothes for on the train, and head down. I did pay my hotel room for early check-in, so hopefully when I get there, I can drop my bag and splash some water on my face and put on a real bra and go meet people at Glasgow School of Yarn. If you will be at Glasgow School of Yarn and you have not already said, yay, I'm going to be there, I can't wait to meet you, please feel free to say so at this time. I do know some of the fans of the Arnold Culliford knitwear team are meeting up at Glasgow School of Yarn and in Glasgow in general for that weekend. But I would absolutely love to say hello to anyone who wants to say hello to me. I know I am absolutely like way too shy to go up to most people and be like, hi, I watch your podcast and I think you're great. So if you do manage the courage, know that not only will I be immensely flattered that, you like me, I will think that is the most amazing thing in the world, but I will also think you are the bravest person I have ever met in my entire life, because that is not a thing I have ever been able to do in the past, even when another podcaster has sat there and said the almost exact same thing I'm saying now. So yeah, that's that. I had mentioned that Rainbow's tummy had been poorly and we were wondering if she might have a lactose intolerance. And it's not that we're not worried about that anymore, but I think the stress of going on a holiday, and then she wanted to bring all of her toys, but then I told her, if you take a lot of toys, you'll probably lose one. So then she spent the whole holiday being terrified she was going to lose one of her toys. Like, she could have just left it home. You bring like one big plush and maybe one little pocket thing. I don't know. Anyway, I think it was the stress of that, along with having had a particularly dairy-full weekend, that made her tummy feel so very poorly. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on it and see how it goes. She's back to occasionally complaining, like every couple of days she'll say, ow, my tummy hurts, and then needs to go toilet. So there's clearly some kind of indigestion, but we'll see. And I had my annual asthma review, and I've been switched to a powder inhaler, which I guess is, for some really dumb reason, being politicized here in Scotland, that they are encouraging people to switch from aerosol inhalers to powdered inhalers, a move that a lot of Europe has already made. And some people are like, oh no, you're being woke and it's all this green nonsense. And okay, but like I went to the review and the prescribing clinician talked me through it, described how the medicine was slightly different than what I'm using, that it's, hopefully might even help me with my specific symptoms in these specific ways. and also made sure that I still had refills on my old inhaler, especially the rescue inhaler, so that if I have a problem, I can use the mitered rescue inhaler instead of using the powdered rescue inhaler, because some people just like worry you can't tell if it's really working because you don't hear the of the aerosol going. Like, it was so gracefully done and so considerately done. And as a person with asthma, when there are forest fires and dust storms, I can't breathe as well. Even if, you know, we haven't had them, thankfully, here in where I live in northern Scotland, but there have been dust storms in Africa that have painted our skies orange. There have been forest fires in Europe that have filled, you know, given us these dramatic sunsets from all the smoke and ash particles in the air. That has a real measurable effect on my ability to breathe. And if giving up an aerosol prevents that or slows the rate down at which that is happening, that is absolutely in my interests. So yeah, I'm trying a powdered inhaler. Let's see how it goes. I did have one when I first moved to Scotland. I got a powdered inhaler, but the pharmacy didn't stock them. So every time I went, they're like, oh, it'll be a couple of days while we order this. So I switched to a mitered daily inhaler just because it was easier. And, you know, I could go in with a script and they would say, here's your box, and hand it to me, you know, 30 seconds later, rather than be like, well, can you come back next week and we'll have ordered it for you. That's the only reason I gave it up. I was fine with the powdered inhaler. I liked the powdered inhaler. And, you know, now I don't have a huge spacer taking up space in my, because to get it to work better, they now give you spacers. So you spray into like this big balloon, and then when you breathe it in, it spreads all out, and it helps. Anyway, I have this huge spacer taking up shelf space on top of the medicine cabinet in the bathroom, because that's the only place it fits. It looks really ugly and everything. And now I've put it in a cupboard where I don't need it. I'm so happy not to have to make room for that. So yeah, I don't know why people are trying to politicize this medicine that works. We would like you to try it because it's better for the environment. And you only have to use it if it works for you. Like, I don't know, people are acting like the woke police are going to storm into their houses and snatch their inhalers out of their gasping hands as they die on the floor. Oh my goodness. Anyway, on that delightful note, this is the end of my thing went buzzy. Ow, I turned my hand. I need to go pick up my children. I unsubscribed from a podcast I follow because she was knitting with Harry Potter themed yarn on a Harry Potter themed sock pattern with a little badge on her bag that they picked up at the Harry Potter experience, whatever. And she was talking about how much she and her family enjoy watching the Harry Potter movies seasonally, and this time always feels very Harry Potter-y, and I have no issue with liking. I used to love the books, and I can absolutely see lots of things that are problematic in the books that I didn't notice at the time, or noticed but didn't think were significant because they were in stream with everything else in life. But I cannot separate the works from the author, and the author is absolutely just spewing hate everywhere. And so I had to unsubscribe from this person not because I think they share in the hate that the author has made her brand and trade, but just because I cannot separate the two. I cannot separate the works from the author who is still making money off the works. And you know, the sock pattern and the yarn, I can't imagine the author makes any money off of those, but going to the event, and if you're streaming the movies through a streaming service, then she gets the money. And like, I can't. Trans rights are human rights. No man who wants to abuse women needs to pretend to be a woman to do so. Like, there is no hurdle standing in the way of men who want to hurt women that can be overcome by pretending to be a trans woman. There is no sport advantage given to trans women where, I mean, like, it'd be better to be a man who is bad at a thing in our patriarchal society than to be the woman who is the best in the world. How many men think they could take Serena Williams in a tennis match? Like, there's no respect in it. There's no advantage in it. There's the idea that this is a thing people are doing to attack women is ludicrous, and it is only serving to hurt people who are already vulnerable. So if Harry Potter is your favorite thing in the world and it has nothing to do with the author, it is just fond memories, then I hope that makes you happy and that you know, go forth and love what you love. But for me, it is just very deeply uncomfortable. It is very disturbing, and I need to step away from that. So I don't think anyone here knows who I'm talking about, but if you do, this is not an attack on that person. As I said, I have no reason to think that this knitter would support this hateful messaging, but I can't live with the risk. This is a me thing, and so yeah. If you are a huge Harry Potter fan, if this is the most important thing in the world for you, I don't even know what to say now. Like, actual people's lives are more important than happy memories from childhood, I guess. I mean, they came out, I'm 41, they came out when I was 18, the first couple of books, 17, 18. So I get it, like childhood memories. But yeah, I need to do better. I need to not associate, even just through, you know, the time I spend hanging out with someone, with this. It's really uncomfortable, the idea that anyone could support that very hateful woman. Anyway, I need to go get my kids. I'm probably going to be late now. Have a good afternoon or morning or evening or whatever time of day it is for you. And hopefully I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye. This is Milo. The crows do not approve of Milo. That is the danger alarm. As you can see, they are in grave danger from